All right. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I am Dino Benino, and I've got some people joining me today for roundtable discussion. I'm going to bring them in one at a time and let them just say hey and introduce themselves.
Hey, I'm William from Stadia Pro Gaming. Hope you all doing well today.
All right. Next up.
Hey guys, I am Stadia Vet from Stadia Vet Gaming.
And we've got...
Hey, I'm Blake Stadia, obviously from Blake Stadia.
All right. So we're trying to get one more person in, and I don't see a way to get them to come in. And that is good old Ray. Ray 3473. He's trying to get in. Will maybe hopefully join us at some point. So
doesn't surprise me.
So obviously we all heard about the news yesterday from Google and what's going on and how they're going to be doing a little bit of a shutdown of at least their gaming from the creative side of things, creating that first party title. So, we just want to kind of talk about some of the things that we heard, maybe our thoughts on things. So what I wanted to start off is try to avoid talking about, some of the other cloud services to start, right? At some point we can bring that into the conversation. But I want us to start by just talking about Google itself and Stadia and just what your thoughts are on just the news that you heard from the Google side, and then whether or not that's maybe making you nervous or just your thoughts in general from that. So we'll kind of go around in a circle for now. So we've got Stadia Pro Gaming. You're up first, man.
All right. Well, I heard the news and I was a little upset, or disappointed, I should say, not upset. Because the reason I was upset is because of the cloud, the Stadia cloud gaming platform is supposed to have all these awesome features that only Stadia could implement. Some of them being the player count, others being the level design, level size, all this stuff. So when it comes to their first party studio there that they hired all these people, a bunch of Ubisoft people, a bunch of people all just lost their jobs. It's just sad to me that we're not going to get those titles. But I can completely understand. I mean, if you're Google Stadia and you're going to spend $200 million over the next 10 years, are you going to bring one or two games to your platform that have special things that are going to draw people in? Or are you going to spend that $200 million and over those 10 years to get 75 to 100 games that people love and want to play? So I can understand both sides. The sky is falling, in my opinion, and Google Stadia is far from dead. So enjoy your service, guys. That's what I say.
Stadia Vet.
I'm on this thing. I don't think they're dead. I think this was all, and I had people asking this when I streamed yesterday. I think this was, they know what they're doing. I think, they didn't just all of a sudden wake up in the morning and be like, hey, we're shutting the studio down. This was planned out. You don't just close a studio Google's track record is pretty good at just shutting stuff down on a whim. But I think that this was more of a planned thing. I think, and I asked people, somebody name an exclusive that you were that fans were asking for. There isn't one. I asked that on a chat and someone was like, I think that everyone's asking for Call of Duty. I was like, exactly. Nobody that plays Stadia at this time cares about getting a Stadia exclusive. They care about features, exclusive features, yes. But games, no. The biggest thing that people want and what they're requesting is big AAA games, Call of Duty, FIFA, Madden, things like that. And I think this was a way of getting their focus on bringing those things, the games that people want to the platform to build up the player base. Once you build up that player base, then you can worry about it, getting those things. I'm in the middle of something right now, so you're going to have to wait a minute. So I think that's where we're at with that. I think that was the whole thing is it's not about the death of Stadia. I get it. That's obviously they say shutdown there. Everyone's going to that's the first thing that comes to mind. The Google graveyard and Stadia is just dead now. That's not what this is about. This is more about let's refocus on what's the biggest thing that helps Stadia? Cyberpunk. That's a big AAA game. That just put Stadia on the map, literally. So I think it's smart. Yes, stop. Don't worry about trying to build an exclusive game, because that takes a long time. I mean, I can't imagine how long it took Sony or Microsoft to build like Halo and things like, or whatever Sony's games that are exclusive to their platform. So I don't think that this is the end of Stadia. I think this is just the beginning of everyone being happy that all of a sudden there's going to be tons and tons of games popping up on the platform that people actually want to play.
Okay, Blake.
Yeah, no, just got to reiterate what both the boys have been saying here. Yeah, Stadia is not dead. It really isn't. I think, again, it's only just over a year into its birth, really. And I think, now I'm on two sides of the fence. I am a big Stadia fan. I love Stadia. It fits the bill perfectly for what I am as a gaming consumer. I absolutely love the style of it, how I can play on any device at any time without downloads. I mean, if you've got kids and you're busy and you've got such a short gaming slot in your life on a daily or maybe weekly basis, just to be able to click the game and play and you're away. Or if the wife decides she wants the TV, you can just whip out the iPad and get your controller and start playing that way. So I'm a big fan for what the platform provides. The technology is, I would say, out of all the other cloud gaming platforms, I would say when it comes to convenience, and that's probably one of the biggest selling points for Stadia, is the convenience of playing. I think tops to all of them. However, the flip side, the bit that frustrates me, not only as a Stadia YouTube content creator and a consumer, is Stadia at the moment has a track record of not delivering clear communication. And I've just got to be real. I've got to be real with it. I love what they provide, but like 2 months ago, they're sitting there bragging on about obviously the games and entertainment division, like basically a company that obviously in-house games exclusives, which is exciting, which obviously bumps it up even further. So their own thing, and we're curious to see what can they pull out of the hat. What rabbits can they pull out of the hat? How far can they push the technology? Because I don't think we've seen the benchmark of how far the Stadia technology and the data centers that provide that can go, because we're playing games at the moment which are traditionally designed for the limitations of PC hardware, or especially a games console hardware, whereas you've seen the slivers of it when it comes to like Bomberman and the amount of people you can put on there, the different types of features it has, and the imagination can run wild of what it can do. But I think the biggest thing for me at the moment is how they've not really communicated things. Like 2 months ago they said that, and then now they've said they're now closing it. They've said 400 games coming out and 200 developers they've reached out to for this year, which I'm hoping for and praying for it still goes that way. But yes, money is needed, and I know it was smart what they needed to do. They probably had to do that because of the finances, to keep the thing rolling, to keep the train rolling, and focus on what they're good at, which is their technology. However, if they want to be long-term when it comes to credibility, reputation, and trust is going to be the biggest thing. Finances is one thing, but I think having the trust, and one of the things I'll say finally is I hope they bring some sort of information, some sort of roadmap, something that just brings reassurance, not only to, again, not just as content creators that are, again, as we said earlier, 3 of us have the word Stadia in our name, so our channels are on the line as well. But putting that aside, being like consumers of it, I mean, we got into this because we love Stadia, we love what it offers for ourselves, and it's absolutely awesome. So I hope that they bring some form of communication that basically says, hey, look guys, I know things have been rocky, this is our roadmap, these are our dates, hold on with us, things are going to be good, which is what I'm hoping for, that comes out fairly soon.
Yeah, I mean, I think, it's a tough time because I think a lot of people just are definitely worried, and I think rightfully so. I mean, like, obviously the graveyard is a real thing, and we see, like, hey, you had that, I can't think of the name of what it was called, but at one point they had like their own little messaging app, and a lot of people loved it. Or they were just like, bring like SMS to that, and that'll be great. And then next thing you know, hello.
Yeah.
Dino, I'd like to add one thing though.
Yeah,
the Google graveyard is real, but it's also a little overhyped, kind of overtalked, because basically what happens is a lot of those that were shut down, a lot of the features that were gained or the enhancements that were done were rolled over into other things.
If you ask Google though, The graveyard doesn't exist.
Well, correct, but we know it does.
That's imaginary. It's all in our heads.
But what I mean is some of the features that came out of some of those were rolled over to other things. But
you mean like the Google, what was the voicemail app that they had, and the chat their chat, and then they had the business stuff, and then it all of a sudden became Google Meet, and I can't keep track of everything, but I get why people are freaking out about this, but to me it's. Like part of me does freak out because like I'm invested in it, but as a consumer, I'm invested in Stadia. So I want to know, like, I hope that they're watching or that they're listening to people and they don't do what they typically do when they drop some bombshell news and then their PR just kind of disappears into the bunker because they know they're about to get fired and they don't say anything for like a week and just let it fester. And I'm hoping that somebody that's the head of Stadia goes down to the PR and all of you, you're fired. Get out. You guys go to the graveyard.
I think this plays heavily into Project Hailstorm.
This is what Hailstorm was.
Yeah, I think
I was thinking about that too myself. I was like,
Hailstorm. So the Hailstorm is them doubling down on bringing games to the platform. We're going to have a hailstorm of games. At least,
the new that industry maybe what the thing they closed down. My background is what it looked like. That's probably why they had to close that down.
Oh no.
Well, I think that's the thing with this too. Is it's tough because it's like Stadia Pro Gaming froze. So
yeah, what an image!
Look at that face.
Only a face a mother can love. Oh, still there. Still there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, he's trying to fix himself. I think that's the thing is we had all these different little problems that are going on. And I think, it's tough because almost they're becoming almost like Luna, right? Where Luna is this subscription-based platform, and that's really how you get the majority of their games on Luna is through the subscription-based. And I guess my concern as a consumer is how many times are we going to add, subscriptions to these things and have it added over and over and over again? And that becomes just then super expensive because then it's like, well, are we going to be any cheaper than going out and buying an Xbox, or a PlayStation because of the fact that all of a sudden now we've got all these subscription bases and we're going to have to pay for that on top of paying for Stadia. And so I think that's a real concern too, is that everybody is like, hey, that face.
Dino screenshot that one. That's a keeper.
It's on it'll be on the internet forever.
We're gonna
No, but I think I think that becomes the problem is that at least for myself, I know I'm concerned that you're gonna maybe lose out on certain games that are they. So, for example, right, you have State Share, and that's on right now. That's only on Hitman, but there's all these other platforms where, hey, there's crossplay, there's choice. What about those games? Is every single company going to be like, oh, well, I'm going to add this feature and this feature and this feature just for you, Google? Or are they going to kind of try to buy up companies and put the money into that? What are your thoughts on that? You think they're going to try to pay companies money to add those specific features so it's a bit different? Or what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Well, crossplay, that's a hard one because that's really up to the developer unless they just start dropping cratefuls of money and just be like, all right, I'm buying you. EA Sports, you're mine now. I bought you. They just start doing the corporate takeover and take over every industry. So I don't know. I think they've got certain features, but the crossplay is a hard one to really implement because Google can't implement it. That's something a developer has to do. So, and I get everybody wants crossplay. Sometimes I'm okay without the crossplay because there are certain games that I would rather not have console players playing, and because they're buttholes sometimes. That's just, I mean, we all know, like, look at console players that play Call of Duty. They take that way too far sometimes, and they know they can get away with certain things like that you say. I just don't, I don't see that one ever. I think that would be a long-term thing that will eventually maybe show up, but in reality, that's not a huge thing. Well, I like the Stadia community, so.
Stadia Vet said that they'd need crates full of money. Well, shutting down that studio, they are going to have crates full of money.
Exactly.
But in my opinion, though, if Google Stadia shut down their studio and instead doubled down on playing a part with the other studios that are actually porting their games, and to make sure that they're ported well and that they're polished, I can not have a AAA Google Stadia game. I'm happy with that. If they take their time with their ports, because some of them in the beginning were trash, to be honest.
I mean, that's the thing for me. Sorry, go on, go Bet.
Oh, no, go ahead, Blake.
No, I was going to say that's exactly the same thing for me. I got into Stadia because I want to get back into my AAA games. I don't have the money for a high, expensive PC rig or a games console, and also I don't want to pay monthly to just play a game on the internet. But the fact that I can now hit play that Cyberpunk 2077 on my TV, on my iPad, or whatever, that's the selling point. So I'm not losing sleep the fact that there isn't Stadia exclusives right now. I like the idea of Stadia exclusives purely because they know their kit, they know their stuff, and they know how far they can push it for us to really see what it can do. But at the moment, I just want more of the games that I like on consoles and PCs that I can't afford to play on right now. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that was the biggest thing that got me. I mean, I'm a Google person anyways. I love Google's products as it is. That's one of the reasons I jumped on board with Stadia. I also like that mobility to be able to just jump from device to device to device. And then the other fact is that I can't, like as Blake said, I can't afford to buy a computer. I can't afford to have a console and then have like USB hubs strapped everywhere so I can have all these external hard drives so I can download the games that I like. Like, I'm sorry, we all know that Call of Duty is ridiculously massive. If that comes to Stadia, then I'm just going to probably troll all the console people that play that and be like, how long does it take you to download a game? I don't know what that is anymore.
Well, that's like with Cyberpunk, right? Like you saw, like Cyberpunk was like, I think it was like 42 gigs to download the original game, and then it was like 17 for the first update, and then another 17 for the next update, and you're just like, by the time it's all said and done, it was like 100 gigabytes just to be able to play like the first day. It was like crazy.
That's something that's wonderful about Stadia anyway. Think about the guy that has kids and works second shift. He gets out of work and he goes, hey, let's play a round of basketball.
Yeah.
Well, he works second shift. He gets home, he turns on his PlayStation or his Xbox, and now he's got a 30 gig update. Well, all right, I'll play next week. I'll play next shift.
Yeah.
That's what ends up happening.
And the other thing was, look at what happened with regards to like Cyberpunk as an example. All of those people that were downloading it on all these other platforms, some of those people were posted on Reddit, on Twitter. Their downloads were like, this was like 33.6 dial-up state era downloads. Oh. Like the thing was so overloaded that nothing was working. And I'm like, that's why there's this thing called Stadia. We don't have downloads. We're part of the future. Like that's like that to me should have just set Google should have gone with that and just blasted ads left and right just to show people. I mean, good Lord, you could have easily gone onto Twitter, pulled off some images and turned it into an ad. I mean, that's what you are. Google as a whole is an ad company. There was your perfect opportunity to make an ad for Stadia, making fun of the fact that people were trying to download this game on PC, on consoles, and the internet, the speed was crawling.
Say that is a slippery slope, though. Luna did it to Stadia, and we didn't like it. I mean, their premise is BS too, but
right, exactly. But this is one of those that's like the golden ticket of like advertising campaign. Like, just to show the point that downloads are a thing of the past at this point.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, now, okay, so you brought in Luna, so let's start talking about our thoughts on like these other cloud services. Like, does it make you want to try maybe? And I don't know if you guys have like for myself, obviously I've played Luna. Have you guys? Has it made you thought maybe I should check out Luna again, or should I try, the Xbox's version of it, the X Cloud, or worst case scenario, you go Sony because obviously we know like they don't really update theirs. So, what are your thoughts on other cloud services and how it relates to this news?
Well, I think for me, go on, sorry.
No, you got me first.
That's okay. No, I think thing for me is, and again, the biggest selling point is because I want to play games, and like I said, convenience of Stadia, the affordability of Stadia to play AAA titles is the selling point for me. So that kind of limits it down. I've only had experience in GeForce Now. I was a beta tester for that before I jumped on the Stadia, and even if you pay for GeForce Now, I forgive me if I'm wrong here, but I think sometimes on peak moments you still have to queue to get into your stream. Oh, sorry, getting into your gaming stream. So that was a bit of an off-put for me. And again, you can jump in there if I was wrong there, but as far as I was aware, there could be a queue there. Luna, obviously, I haven't had a chance to dip in my toes in. I've not looked too much into it purely because I think you can only beta test it in the US at the moment, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, it's not in the UK at the minute. And the other ones, again, when it comes to Xbox, there's not a lot of games on there that I really play that I'm interested in. PlayStation, I've always been a PS fan beforehand, before I got into cloud gaming. But even that, I think there's limitations there because I've got an iPhone. I don't know if I can use an iOS device to play them. I don't know if you can play it on PC yet, can you?
With the PlayStation Cloud, I don't even know what it's called. What is it, PS Now or whatever? Yeah, they have an app that you can download for Windows and for you. There's a mobile app for Android and Apple, but I don't know. Actually, no, not for the PS Now. That's just to link so you can play games already on your system. For the cloud gaming stuff, I think it's just PC. Honestly, I don't know if they have a Mac version. Yeah, I've never really looked into it, but it's still kind of, to me, it's on the limited side. xCloud, that's just basically a glorified it's a cloud extension of your Xbox. They don't, and you're locked in. If you have Apple, you don't get to play it. If you have a PC or a Mac, you don't get to play xCloud. They are only on Android, and to be honest, it's awful. I've tried it, and I would rather play PlayStation Now's terrible. If you're looking at strictly basing it off of games, I at this point, even with the Stadia's news, I still put Stadia at the top. I would say it's a toss-up between Amazon and I think Amazon would be third just because of the limitation with where they're just because it's just locked into the US right now. GeForce Now is, I would still probably put that as a 2, and xCloud, I'm sorry, but they're going to be at the bottom of the barrel because there's too much of a delay, input lag. It doesn't even matter. I've seen people play it, and whether it's on a 5 gigahertz network, it's on 2.4, it's on data, there's just not enough. They haven't worked on enough, and I don't think they're going to right now. I think they're more focused on their consoles. Why are they going to? They just came out with consoles. They know that consoles are their moneymaker. They're not going to focus. I think in reality, xCloud only became a thing because of Stadia, because Microsoft didn't want to get left behind.
Well, in my opinion, it's Google Stadia, Amazon Luna, and then GeForce Now for the cloud bases right now. I know that Nintendo's messing around with cloud-based stuff, and a few other people, but basically, to me, the technology that is behind Google and the Stadia and the technology that is behind Luna is fantastic. You can't argue with the tech. It just works, man. Pairing the controller, just like with Stadia, it's very similar. It's very easy. The platforms work very well. The only difference I would say for me personally, why I am not a Luna adoptee, is because I can't buy a game. It's kind of like Game Pass, to where like they give you access to a game for however long they let you have it, then they take it away. You don't. So
it's a Netflix style subscription, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's what people wanted with Stadia. They were all like, Stadia needs to be a Netflix. Well, guess what? You got Amazon, and you're gonna have everybody. But I like the fact that there are choices. That's what I like about cloud gaming, and why I've continued to say that cloud gaming is the evolution of gaming. Consoles are still going to be there. PC, even if consoles fade out, PC gaming is always going to be there. PC gaming is like that mole that you just can't get rid of. It's the itch on your back that you cannot reach, and it's never going away because they've been around since gaming start. I mean, since as long as I can remember, since the 80s, and they're never. And we're what, like in 2021, and we still have PC gaming as a thing. It's not gonna go away. It's not. It's not gonna pull from cloud gaming or consoles.
The beautiful thing about Stadia and Luna both, and GeForce Now, as a matter of fact, is that most things with a screen on it you can play. That is like so revolutionary and so fantastic that it's a little understated, man, on how cool that is and how seamless that it does work.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing for me. If I was to, if something was to go wrong with Stadia and things like to go downhill, I think I would be looking at the Luna side, because eventually, obviously, it will come to Europe and most parts of the world. Based on what you guys are saying and what I've looked up, they have a very similar style of convenience. And again, as you're just saying, that's the biggest thing for me. And I believe there's a huge market out there because there's a lot of people, as we said before, that have just such busy lives, but they want to go back to their teenage fantasies of just endless hours of gaming, and they want to absorb and use as much of their time as possible. And this is one of the other things I love so much. Again, just jumping back to Stadia really quickly, is I don't know if you guys know, but I play my games. I've just downgraded from fiber optic. Again, this is really big in the UK, but one of our biggest download speeds like 100 meg. So that's huge. That's great. It's not the biggest, but 100 meg is what I was on, and then I've dropped down now to 40 download speed. And I'm no longer on fiber optic. I'm on ADSL because I'm just trying to cut costs at the moment, and I can still play games on my 4K TV, 5.1 surround sound, all that kind of jazz, and that's just on a really crappy broadband. Beautiful. So that kind of convenience for me is the selling point, because you got to think, so not everyone's going to have the best of the best, not even just best rig, but the best internet connection. So stuff like that, and I think Luna and Stadia are neck and neck there. So I think for me, it'll be between those two.
Well, and going off of that, that was what I always thought was the best selling point of Stadia, like especially even here in the U.S., because in the U.S. you have so many different internet companies and none of them, if you want a super high speed, you're paying out the nose for a lot of these, like, not to throw any internet companies under the bus like Comcast or, some of these other ones. But like there's just so many out there, and, Charter and all these other ones. And then you get to the rural towns. Like I live in a town of like 2,000 people, and the next town over has 500. Like all these small towns, I could easily go to that town where I lived, and before that had 500 people, have a 40 meg internet speed, and I could still play. That was the one benefit, because I don't need a super fast internet speed to play Stadia or play Luna xCloud says that you don't need it, but I call BS on them on that one, because that's like saying that when Microsoft tells me there's never any issues with Windows 10, and we all know how that worked out.
All right, well, I got one more person to bring in. They were having technical issues, but they're finally here, and the man with no need for an introduction.
Ain't no technical difficulties, man. You and Cowboy need to stop using this cheap stream. I've been sitting in the back for the longest time, listening to them talking. I'm like, now I feel if I was like the Invisible Man, or I couldn't talk to people. It's horrible. It's like they're chatting, having a good time, and I'm sitting back here like, hey.
I mean, there were so many points where you just want to jump in and be like, "Oh yeah, here's my thought." Oh, on to the next one now.
I don't know what's going on, dude. I see you're texting me, but I actually hear you.
Right. Seriously though, you weren't on the side for whatever reason. It shows like people after people after people, and finally,
like old Cowboy. Go get you. Anyway, what's going on, people?
Right. I actually want to hear I want to hear your take on the cloud gaming side, like with like Luna and things, because I know you stream Luna.
Yes, I do. I'm actually gonna stream Siege tonight. I love Luna, people. I love Luna. I know a lot of people don't like the controllers. I know a lot of people don't like the service, but I enjoy it, and just so you know, Amazon has reached out to me many times. They're great. And when I mean I don't mean they just like send me a tweet in a thread. They actually sent me a message on DM telling me that, hey, we appreciate you streaming.
Wow.
And they made me my new logo on my Twitter page. They made that.
That's
So I really, I'm nobody guy. I'm like, come on, man. There's like a lot of people playing Amazon Luna, so that meant a lot. So I thought that was great. But I love playing Luna. I love playing Resident Evil 7. And Siege is great, and it's multiplayer.
Yeah, I can't wait for Siege, man.
I tried to help Dino, man. Dino was like, oh, where do I go? Ray, what do I do? I was like, okay, the wooden boards with the mark with yellow, you gotta shoot in there. But Dino's great. Dino, first, thank you for having me on here.
Oh, no problem.
People don't listen to the haters, man. Cloud gaming is here. A lot of people like, oh my God, the sky is falling. They closed one studio. Do you know how many studios Microsoft and Sony closed? I mean, you
dropped a couple names.
You guys
remember Game Day.
Woo!
Game Day.
When Sony closed 98.9 Sports, I died,
so sad.
Man. I was sad.
That was my favorite football game. I didn't like Game Day 99 was by far the best one they had. I mean, I know graphics updated rosters with the newer ones, but I loved it. I played my brother in that game one time, and I blew a hamstring at the 1 yard line and ran 99 yards for a touchdown on a blown hamstring. It was absolutely by far the best game ever. With my player just limp, and you can see his legs all limp.
I just saw in my mind. I just saw Stadia Vet jump up with the controller and reach for his leg. My hamstring.
First of all, Vet, hold on, Vet. Good Lord, I'm gonna pray for you, brother. 100-0 in Madden.
You know what? I gave up.
Guess what? When it got to 50, that's when I would have just unplugged and got out. But I give you props. You played to the very end, man.
I did, and I'm surprised that I had 8 people still there watching. That was like after the end of the third quarter when I'm down like I gave up 58 points in the fourth quarter to get 100-0. At some point, I was like, all right. I looked over. I'm like, wow, I still actually have people watching me. I really expected everyone to bail, but I think they just wanted to see how high the score was going to get.
And the people in the UK, that's like zero, like somebody scoring a goal 100 times.
100 times. That's a big number in UK football terms.
But anyway, Dino, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
What's the topic? Please ask me the question again.
Yeah. So the question. So obviously we were talking about everything that's been happening. So there were essentially 2 questions, right? So one, does that make you have to want to try to a different service? So obviously you've tried Luna and you enjoy Luna, or like, what do you think long term this means for Google? Would be the 2 questions.
Okay, like first off, people, they closed the studio. If they said Stadia was closed, then we would have an upset. Okay, but we also got to understand we lost. They had Jade Raymond. They brought her over. And she got screwed, people. She got screwed. They said, "Hey, we're gonna make a studio. We're gonna make all these games and everything." And the guy was like, "Oh, we're gonna make 400 games, and we're going." I'm gonna keep it real. It's bad. It's bad. It makes them look bad because they went from making games to, you know what? Let's throw that out. We're just gonna do, other party games and not make our games. Which people, you got to understand. Even though Google is worth billions of dollars, it costs money to make games. And I look at it as a win. Some people are like, what are you talking about? Because then you can go after Call of Duty. Yes. You can go after Apex. Yeah. Spend the money on the publishers with the games. Okay? I think they just looked at some of those games and they said, you know what? We gotta scrap this. This is not going to work out. But you got to understand, Xbox got rid of Mixer. Okay, it happens. Okay, I was a Mixer streamer. Okay,
so was Ninja.
Yeah, and so but guess what though? I didn't get no ninja. He
Yeah.
streamed for 1 year. You know how much he made?
That's probably why they closed Mixer. They went bankrupt.
Yeah, they went bankrupt. They lost that money, man.
But people, does it suck that people and first off, my heart and my prayers go out to those people that lost their jobs and Jade. It's business, people. It happened. I used to work across from Facebook. I used to manage a property, and I used to hear people tell me, oh, "Man, Ray, I just got fired from Facebook." And right down the street is Google. They do massive hiring. And they do massive firing. I've had friends that worked at Blizzard, man. And I don't know if you guys remember, but Blizzard, shit, they fired more than what Google got rid of, okay?
Yep.
And so it happens. But you have to look at it as a win. Because now, Google, you got no excuse.
Yeah.
Right.
You got no excuse.
Yeah.
If you're not going to make your games, then god dang it, go get the games.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
Go
make
get the
sure
games.
make sure they're ported well. Run smooth as
Yeah.
butter, you know.
Well, you know what? Hey, look at Madden.
Madden runs darn.
I'd
And
expect
I
so.
Hey, now when your quarterback decides to throw the ball, it runs great.
That was a user error there. That wasn't.
You know what? Hey, Google, if you bring FIFA tomorrow, that'd make everything go away.
Oh, immediately.
Just bring FIFA. But Call of Duty would shut people up, and people. Google, you don't think Google don't have Microsoft money?
Call of Duty is going to bring console gamers to the system, man. As soon as they realize they don't have to install that game and one more, they can have,
Ubisoft. Hold on, let me see. How much is it going to cost to buy you, Ubi? How much? How much is it going to cost? They could buy.
Google could reach into the couch cushions and buy Ubisoft.
Absolutely.
They should just. You know what they could do? I mean, look at EA Sports. Maybe they just buy EA Sports. They can bring back. Then they have the option of forcing them to make another basketball game or maybe a baseball game.
Yeah.
Because
Then I
didn't
would
EA have a baseball game?
Then I would be in trouble.
Good Rebel Gaming, thank you so much. FIFA was confirmed March 17th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Woo. Right.
There you go.
Excellent. There you go. There you go.
All right, so I'm going to set a record for getting beaten in FIFA next. Woo!
Now, personally, right, for myself, I've actually not had the greatest experience with Luna. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm going to completely abandon Luna. Immortal Phoenix Rising. I played the game for a little bit. I really enjoyed it. Then I didn't play it for a couple days. I went to try playing it again. And next thing you know, I have a technical problem. And that's something that is on the Ubisoft side, where it says cloud syncing not happening. And so I think that becomes a problem. And so I think that's...
But all fairness, it's in beta.
Yeah, I was about to say,
It's in beta. And so that's the thing. They want you to give us feedback, tell us what's going on so they can correct that. Hey, brother, I've had my issues with both Stadia and, I mean, I was riding in Cyberpunk. I was riding with my pants, and then my pants was disappeared. And I was like,
we've all been there, Ray.
He was literally hanging out with the wang out, if you know what I'm saying.
Free riding. So, but people, you have to understand. It's technology. Everything's not going to run smooth. I mean, I was just in Dino's back room screaming for help. I want to get on your show, Dino. Dino, I want to get on. Dino, just let me in.
But to be all honest, that was probably just your internet.
Dino. Okay, I gotta confess up, Dino. I'm gonna confess up. Okay.
Oh snap!
I rebooted my computer. Okay. So nothing's wrong with Millen and nothing's wrong with Dino's services. I rebooted my camera. I rebooted my computer and I was back in.
That's
so okay, I just got to be honest. But to your question, I've had issues with Luna with the controller. Sometimes the volume. I'm always having people tell me, Ray, we can't hear you. Because when you plug your controller into your PC, it goes to the controller, the volume in the headphones. And so your audience can't hear it. So I always got to make sure that I go into my PC and I click my PC volume so people can hear me. So, And then I've had some glitches too, but I've also gave them feedback. And guess what? They hit me in my DM. We appreciate that. Just let us know what's going on. But I will say that Amazon, they listen. They're listening, people. They're listening. They're listening.
I have seen that. Like, that's the one thing, and a lot of people that have tried Luna or use it, that's the generalized feedback that I have seen from almost everybody, is that they will respond, whether it's on Twitter, it's on a direct message, it's on any of the things. Like, if you contact them, they actually respond, where sometimes Google doesn't, or Stadia just gives you those two people that handle the Reddit and on Discord and give you some BS script that they read. And, I tagged them, and that was like when Ray got his logo from Amazon. I was like, you hear that, Google? I tag you every time. Like, I don't like, for me, I tag Stadia every time I go live, and I go 5 days a week. And
you're probably muted.
They probably did. They probably blocked me on there, and they're like, God, this guy just won't stop. And I'm just like, I don't even want you to say something. Just a thumbs up.
But in
heart. I'm just like,
but in all fairness, though, I've seen grace from Google in some of our chats.
Yep.
And so I will give them up. There's some people in the PR department that do talk to us. Okay.
Yeah.
But people like Sonny and people like Bill and Lloyd, good Lord, come on, Google.
Yeah, there's no reason.
Come on,
at least these guys,
Come on,
Sonny, hey, to be all fair, Sonny's a good guy, and I like his.
They need to do something for Sonny. They need to
They did send him a ton of Stadia merchandise, though. He posted it on.
I would say give him a job.
But you know what?
You give Sonny an office. Look, I drive by the Google campus. All right, you give you give Sonny his office with a window looking at the beautiful sunny California, and you pay that man. You hook that man up.
Yeah. I will agree with that, because I don't know how. I don't think the man has a life. Like, he works on YouTube, and I keep hounding him. I'm like, dude, I contact him in Discord all the time on a DM, and I'm just like, when are you quitting your your outside the YouTube world job to focus on YouTube full time, since Stadia constantly gives you stuff to do, like on a daily? Yeah. It's like they realize that he doesn't put out enough stuff, so they just do something crazy, like close the studio. Oh, now it's Sunny. All right, we got you. We reeled you back in, buddy. Come on, start pumping those videos.
I would love to see the numbers on how many people that Sonny introduced to Stadia, or how many people Bill and Lloyd introduced to Stadia. Because I bet you the numbers are up there, right, with Google.
but you know what? You see who they go grab, though. They grab the people that have X amount of subscribers and X amount of viewers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But how many of those?
And they even grab people who are not even Stadia like gamers. Like, I've noticed a lot of the people they've picked up are people outside of it, because they're conscious of trying to bring in more people, which is a good thing to do, but I don't think it should be the primary thing, because I think at the moment, and the reality is, it's people like us and other Stadia content creators. We are probably the most valuable asset when it comes to, again, like I've said earlier, we've got the name Stadia in our channel name, which should say enough that we want to promote this thing. We love what this has to offer.
Knowing that we need my name and my logo, I've gotten asked before in chats, like, do you work for Stadia? I'm like,
dude,
I've been asked that, because sometimes my logo looks a little too similar, and I'm just like, I just engage that. I just go with it, and I'm just like, I have an NDA that says I'm not allowed to disclose whether I work for them or not. I don't want to lose my job. Sometimes I do joke around.
Guys, when I first saw the tweets going out, I thought it was Stadia closed. You guys were oh my gosh, what are guys with all the Stadia names going to do? What are they going to do? Stadia, like Stadia Vet, and Stadia Rock.
I know, like, when I saw that too, I was like, I just rebranded my god darn channel from US Army Veteran. I'm not going back. And Cloud Vet Gaming sounds retarded. Like, I can't use that. That's like the dumbest thing ever.
People, they have a crap load of games coming. They just said Judgment, which is by Sega, that's on Sony. Yep. It's coming to Stadia. It's coming to Stadia. Now we know that FIFA is coming to Stadia.
That's fantastic.
So the games are coming, people.
It's coming.
It's coming. It's just that they're not making it. Well, you know what? We're not going to make games. But guess what? They can go get games.
But
Hey,
that
maybe
could
they
be
just closed.
building
Maybe
a-
they just closed the studio so they could just buy out the rest of Sega's catalog.
well,
We'll just start seeing Sonic and
making a AAA game can take up to 10 years, multiple, like a bunch of buttloads of money and a whole bunch of crew. They're probably just putting the effort where it needs to be right now, which is bringing the games over rather than trying
Which makes
to
sense.
bake a new egg and make it into a bird. You know,
That's what
You've
I
got to
said,
think as well. It's
nobody-
only a year into it. It's still in its infancy stage. It's the,
Yeah.
Here's the thing: that the problem is, I think they overpromise and underdeliver. So they get so excited, they're ambitious, and like, let's start a studio, let's do that, and then they're running a lot quicker than they need to be. Again, as a whole, cloud gaming is still in its infancy. So let alone put Stadia aside for a second. Cloud gaming is no one's. This is a voyage no one's ever actually gone out to. And I would say when it comes to convenience and the technology, Stadia is pioneering the way. But in the mix of all that, I find with the PR and the communication and stuff like that, there's a lot too much hype. It's too much over-promising and delivering, and that's the crux. That's the issue. It's that communication. We need to unwire, uncouple, and try to start fresh and say, look, this is still all new. It's still so many opportunities to come, and I'm all for what Ray was saying. Again, there are still over 400 games coming out this year. I'm super excited. Again, the biggest thing for me about Stadia, why I love it so much, is the convenience of being able to play my AAA titles, or even just, again, I was playing Scott Pilgrim on my phone on the way to London the other day. I love the fact that I could do that. And then when I come home, I can go on my 4K TV and play it there, or play Cyberpunk or whatever. So that's and I think it's smart. I think they shouldn't have to begin with. I think if you look back, like maybe we're getting a bit over ambitious. Let's wait. Let's hold off. I know there's other competition coming, but there's still time. There's still so many slices of the pie when it comes to cloud gaming that Google can still invest in and build into. So now it's like, what's our strength? It's the technology. Go on.
Here's something else too. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe they're embedded with a whole bunch of these studios and they don't need their own anymore. Yeah. It's very possible. Maybe they have shown them that the sales are good enough for them to bring their games over. And not only can you bring your games over, but look at what you can do with the cloud. You know, it's possible that they're embedded with some of these people.
Well, and look at like I get like what Ray was saying with like how long it takes to make an exclusive. How long did it take Microsoft to put out the first Halo? Like, you cannot tell me it was just
it's like a decade.
And to get it good, but how big was their user base by the time Halo was released? Like, that exclusive Halo game was released, they had to have had a massive user base. Nobody that's what I keep saying with Stadia. It's like the users that play Stadia. Nobody cares for an exclusive at this point. They want features, yes, but they want the games that everybody else is playing.
Hey, when Microsoft had NFL Fever, guess what people were buying? Game. They were buying Madden and 2K. And nobody was buying.
Yeah, I mean, I did Microsoft. I bought it.
I bought it too, but that's what I'm just. And it was like, you know what? Why try and sell our own make game when we can just go get the top games and just make money off of that? It makes and it makes sense, people. And that's it. Like I said, studios. Hey, Cowboy, I heard you. Shut up. It just makes it, and it sucks that people have to lose their jobs. But guess what, people? I had a roommate that worked for. He came in and he was like, "I got fired." I said, "What happened?" I got fired from Lucas Games, man. They fired me today, you know. And he used to, come on, man, Star Wars.
Yeah,
you're a tester for Star Wars games.
LucasArts used to be fantastic, man.
And he got fired.
Well, and look at like Microsoft. Or EA Sports had the NBA Live? That was like non-existent after 2009. Came back for 17, 18. They hyped the living crap out of it, came out with 2 versions, and then pulled the plug on it.
Yep. And people lost their jobs.
You can't compete with NBA. And I was like, how could you? Like, I bought that. I was all on board with the NBA Live. I thought it was way better than 2K because I'm just not a fan of 2K, but they just couldn't compete at that time. I think there was too long of a gap. And guess what? They pulled the plug on that game. It's not like every other industry has not. I mean, maybe not Nintendo. Nintendo is just, they do their own thing. And, if you leak stuff out, you get shot because you're not allowed to say
Nintendo can, believe it or not,
what
Nintendo. Nintendo can hide their failures. They're very good at that.
Well, yeah.
We know
Send them
we
on
don't
the
see the games. We don't see the games that didn't cut the mustard. You know
Bro,
what I mean?
you'll be sleeping in your room and you see like a ninja assassin sitting there with a samurai sword to your neck.
Yakuza's outside the door.
You don't know nothing.
But look at
You don't say nothing.
but to be all fair with Stadia, look at like every gaming company has issues. Microsoft is no different. The Xbox, I remember the Xbox 360 fiascos they had with the Red Ring of Death and every other issue with the one Sony. Good God, how many issues has Sony had with their service shutting down and people hacking it and closing it for months? For what was it like a couple of years ago? They were like, people were having, the whole system went down. Like, It's not like the end of the world. Like, I don't remember everybody going on social media and saying, "Oh my God, Sony's killing. There's the end of PlayStation, or that's the end of Xbox." I don't think that's how this works.
No,
And
there
one
was
more Luna, and then I'm sorry. Well, one more Luna plug, dude. People, they got an MMO called New World. Oh my God, it's going to be massive. Okay, and that's why I honestly, really, I'm excited that I can't wait to play that. It's in a massive MMO.
Question for you, Ray. What's your kind of? So I've just hijacked your video. Sorry, Dino.
It's
Question
okay,
for you,
it's okay.
Ray. What would you? How would you compare the two when you look at Stadia and Luna? Not just when it comes to gameplay, but also just communication, how they represent themselves as well, and as a consumer, and also as a content creator. How would you compare the two?
Amazon is more open and talkative, and Google is more like private. And I think transparency is that's the only problem I have with Stadia is the transparency issues. It's like, can you give us a roadmap of what you're doing and stop all the secrecy? But that's how it is in Silicon Valley. They're very secretive, but it's just, and guess what? How long do you think they knew they were going to do these studios in and fire? Come on. You think they just did that yesterday?
no.
Come on.
Months ago.
Come on.
Yeah.
And they've been feeding us all this jibber jabber. And guess what? It makes them look suspect.
Yeah.
And people start and it was sad. I saw people closing out, going online. Like, I'm done with Stadia. I just canceled my pro game, and it broke my heart.
Yeah,
broke
it's
my
crazy.
heart. But Luna, Amazon, it's Amazon. I think they're a little bit more open and friendlier, and but come on, Google is light years ahead right now with all the features and everything.
Yeah.
The 4K, the features. But guess what, people? Amazon got money too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. They're right in there. They're right in there.
Come on, dude. They got Rainbow Six Siege before Google Stadia.
Yeah.
Come
Well,
on.
Here's the thing. One of the differences between Google Stadia and Luna is that Luna is basically an NVIDIA platform. Stadia uses Vulkan, which is a Linux API or whatever, and everything has to be ported over. For Luna, all they have to do is throw money at a publisher. Hey, man, we want that on our platform, and boom, it can be on there without any porting process.
Right.
Go ahead,
Dino. I gotta go do a sound check with the dude from Ghost of Tsunami. So we'll be interviewing him Saturday. So I love you guys. Keep playing in the clouds. Keep playing the video games. Stadia is not going nowhere. I'm out. Dino,
right,
I love you.
Right, tell them where you can they can find you real quick before you go.
Ray3473. I am the gaming cyborg. Just hit my Twitter page. Stadia hype. It's going to be hyped up with William, the referee, and I'm with Rock. I love Rock, my mentor. Rock and Ray live tomorrow, Wednesday. Vet, I might answer your DM. All right, guys. I'm out.
See you later, Ray.
All right.
See you, Ray.
Well,
Cheers.
and like I was gonna say too, like with the whole with this shutting down, like what if there's another side to this? Like, has anybody heard from Stadia on the partnership that they had with Activision? Like,
no, I haven't seen anything from Activision.
So
man.
what if there's a reason behind all of? I mean, obviously there's a reason they just don't want to tell everyone. But I think could it be something with Activision? But also,
I think they've made deals and arrangements with some of these other studios, and they've actually got some. In my opinion, this is just speculation, but I believe that they actually have their tendrils into some of these studios, so that these studios are going to be working on some of the cloud-based stuff that they wanted to do originally, but don't want to spend the money or the resources.
Look at like look at Nintendo, for instance. Like, how many of their own individual, like their studios, do they have? Because yes, I know Mario is an exclusive to the platform, but are they making all of their own studios? I don't think they do that. I'm pretty sure they have other studios that handle making games for the platform and things like that. So it's not like it. I mean, I know that this is just a Google thing. Like, you shut something down that everybody liked. And it's just because Google closed down something tied to Stadia, and I think people are just waiting for Google to do something to screw up, because they've had so much success recently that they need something to feed off of to say, "Oh, see, I was right. And a lot of these guys that claim that they like Stadia, they're probably really just the haters that are hoping that this is going to fail.
Well, and I'm surprised by Google and again, it has to do with the whole transparency and them not being transparent. Why they just didn't say, you know what, we're going to hold a direct and we're just going to kind of come out and talk about, because then at least if they were like, hey, we're going to hold this video conference online, we're going to talk about the future of Stadia, then people would be less like panicked, because then all of a sudden people would hear like, oh, we're going to shut down, Google's Stadia Entertainment, but here's what we're going to focus on instead. And I think by hearing it from a physical person saying it, because all of a sudden you're reading things, you're thinking something completely different than what they're trying to deliver. And I think that would have been smarter on their part if they had just come out and said like, hey, here's what we're doing. We're going to talk to you about the future of us, and here's the game plan. And I think that would have brought everybody a little bit more calm. People would have been less crazy to be like, oh man, is Google going under? Because I remember when I first read that, I was like, oh crap, I just spent
I had to read it about 3 times. Just to double check.
Well, that's what the whole problem was, the fact that they let this info out in written word, and it turned into, I remember as a kid, it was that game that we all played in elementary school where the teacher would tell you something and you had to tell every student, and by the time it made it around the entire class, nobody knew what the hell the thing was, the original statement was. It was all twisted, and that's what happened here. They just announced this in a report or whatever, article, whatever you want to call it, but they didn't come out and verbally say anything. They just went silent again, like they have the.
Well, if you leave it up to the haters, man, Stadia's died multiple deaths already. So, but I'm still enjoying it.
Cat, man, they just keep. They might die, but they keep cutting. I want to know how many lives they have. Either that, or they got a buttload of quarters that they're just throwing in. They're just dumping the quarters in to keep regenerating their life.
I think that's the biggest thing. It's how it's been presented, how they communicate. And I mean, you take like CD Projekt Red with the whole the flop of Cyberpunk when it first began with all the bugs, and then one of the head guys, I'm going to forget his name off the top of my head, but he came out of his apology video. Some people are still not a big fan of that, but he took the guts to put a face behind it and say, look, we messed up. This is our roadmap. We're going to do our very best. Whether people believe his wording or not, the point is they went down that road of saying, we made a mistake. Please forgive us. Please stay with us. Please be invested. We love you guys. We want to be open, communicative, and give you the best quality thing. So here's our roadmap. Stick with us. If you want a refund, we'll make sure you get your refund, kind of thing. And yes, it's kind of admitting your defeat, and no one wants it. It's too big. It's too much of an ego killer. And some people in these scenarios love to have their pride and their ego buffed up, but I would rather honesty. I would rather transparency. Exactly what Ray was saying earlier. I love Stadia. I'm a big, huge believer it's technology and where it's going to go. But the thing that will kill it is the communication, not what they can provide, technologically speaking, or game development speaking, but how they communicate to their viewers, the non-viewers, and also the content creators. Because at the moment, we're pretty much the pioneers of still trying to say, hey, look, no, it's not dead. It's still good. But Stadia's not saying something like that. The way they've presented this recent piece of information is just basically, again, I said it in a Twitter post yesterday. It's like saying, hey, at the beginning of a sentence, hey guys, don't panic, and all you're going to do is panic the entire time.
Okay,
go on.
We have 3 comments here from the chat. Dr. Spaceman says, I think Stadia was going too bold and it was scaring the market.
100%.
And then rolling down, we've got from Ralph Haley here. He says, flip side, Stadia isn't requiring devs to be folded into their studio to create studio or Stadia games. They are letting devs maintain independence while creating on any and all platforms. And I am with you on that. That's what I think is going on. I think they've embedded some of these with some of these studios, and I think they're gonna pull out some of their cloud-based stuff with them rather than making it on their own. One more thing here. Let's see. Ralph Haley says again, who can say Jade's game, still probably 3 years out, was any good? Maybe she was too ambitious and her studio isn't ready yet. Yeah, there's no way of telling. Maybe they saw what they were doing.
She had a history, though. The one that lost her job, the one that was heading that has a history of dipping out on different things. She's done that at every place she's been at, though. So, is anybody like? I think bigger people aren't really surprised that I'm going somewhere else now. Like, you've done this with every place you've worked. Like, I kind of feel like this was like Google shot themselves in the foot by bringing her on board to handle this big of a project, knowing the history. But then you also look at Google's history, and I'm like, well, this was like a massive recipe for disaster. And and if you look at like Stadia as a platform is not dead. I mean, every platform has issues. Look at Nintendo. Like, anybody remember that Wii U? That was like a massive failure.
Hey, a buddy of mine bought that. Now, one buddy of mine bought that.
Anybody remember Sega? I think there was this console called the Dreamcast that killed them.
Wait, what?
I mean, that.
I like the Dreamcast now.
I did like the Dreamcast too, but unfortunately for them, I think it was too far ahead of their time.
Yeah.
Like, they were the technology that was in that was too far ahead for them to compete with everything else. But hopefully Stadia fixes this. I think what they really need to do is, like what everybody's been saying, instead of clamming up and hiding in a shell.
Well, like Ray said,
in California, you need to just come out on a live stream or a Stadia Direct or something just to say
that's
something.
That's just it. We don't have any knowledge on what they're actually doing. But like Ray said, they didn't make this decision yesterday. And based on the decision they made either a month ago or weeks ago, they've already put those things in motion that we're not seeing yet. Yeah. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
But all right, I have to go, guys. So.
Yeah. So why don't you tell everybody where they can find you real quick?
Right on. I am William from Stadia Pro Gaming. I stream Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. I hope to see you there. All right, guys. You have a wonderful.
All right.
See ya.
Yeah. So I think we could, continue to have a big conversation on this, for hours and hours. And I think, ultimately we agree, like, Stadia right now, it's, not going anywhere, but we do need to at least keep our eyes open.
Yeah.
Just in case, But I think at this point, I don't think we're going to be endangered because I think they've been making too much money just doing what they're doing. And they're not going to be like, oh, let me give up even more money and just get rid of this. So I think, ultimately it's going to be around for a while. But I think, at this point, we're just going to have to wait and see what happens.
Sit back and ride the wave.
Yeah. So why don't you guys, let's finish off by just Stadia Vet, tell people where you can find you, and then Blake, you can do the same.
Guys, you can find me at Stadia Vet Gaming on YouTube. I stream Monday through Friday. I don't have a schedule like Stadia Pro Gaming. I stream 1 to 3 shows a day, and just make sure you have that subscribe and the notifications on, and you'll know when I'm on.
And Blake?
Yep, so you can find me on Twitter at Blake Stadia. You can also find me on YouTube as Blake Stadia, and I stream Tuesdays and Thursdays, 8 p.m. GMT time, and sometimes on a Friday or on a Saturday, depending on what tickles my fancy. And that's where you'll find me.
All right. Well, I'm Dino Benino, and thanks for being part